This is the weekly New England sports recap, also known as the weekly NEcap.
Brought to you by EOTB Sports, baby.
Woo! Y'all gon' make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make me go all out. Up in here, up in here. Y'all gon' make.
All right, so let's do it. This is episode 2 of the weekly NEcap. We're going to get right into it with some NFL talk. I know Sean's got some stuff he wants to say about the Cowboys, so go ahead.
All right. Well, first of all, it's great to be back for episode 2. I'm glad the viewers paid enough and viewed enough to let us come back. So that was good stuff.
A lot of help from the sponsors.
Yeah, a lot of help from the sponsorship. Do I need to cover my Red Sox symbol?
I'll blur it out.
No, they're a
don't worry.
sponsor.
Yeah.
We're good on that? All right. But yeah, so pretty much I'll start with the Cowboys stuff. Pretty big win over the Chiefs. 28-17 was a final. And I kind of, as soon as I think even going into the week, I said that this was kind of big. Well, the next few are obviously big, catching up with the Eagles and everything. But this one kind of felt like, that Rams loss was kind of made up for almost in the back of my mind. Like I said last week, too, that I'm all right with losing to Aaron Rodgers, but the Rams loss was really pissing me off for quite a while, so this kind of got that one back.
Yeah, who loses to the Rams?
So with that, it was just kind of, I was able to watch, actually, I took a pit stop at Patriot Place after work on Sunday night and went there, sat there by myself. So the Cowboys are 1-0 when I'm watching the game alone at Patriot Place. And they're also 1-0 when Tony Romo is announcing. So both key stats, I thought. But
those are some serious metrics you pulled for those. I really like that.
But,
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. That's correct. But it was kind of just the guys that were just making plays. Almost I don't want to say no name guys, but role players, I guess, kind of stepping up and making key plays. Obviously, Dak had 2 touchdowns or whatever he had. Zeke played well, but defensively, Jeff Heath, safety, made a great play on a huge interception and late in the fourth quarter. I think it was, I want to say, right about 6 minutes left. Right before that, Taco, first round pick, Taco, he had his first career sack, so that was good. That was key too. And it was just kind of, you talk about role players making plays, and T. Will, who their number 2 receiver, went off for nearly 150 yards, which is his career high. I think it was 9 catches for like 141, I believe it was. But so he was huge, even though none of them were touchdowns. Still a really, really big game out of him. Defensively wise, and I can kind of lead this into their next game against Atlanta, but I think it'll come down to the defense, because I think the offense is looking as good as they're gonna. Obviously, I don't want to talk too much about the Zeke news right now, because as of tomorrow, it could be completely different. And, by the time this comes out, he could be in jail for all I know. I don't know. But so I don't want to get into that. But I think the offense is going to be fine. I think offense is still going to put up, 28 to 35 points a game, which realistically they need to. So that's kind of big. But defensively, when it comes to, David Irving, who has, I think it's 6 sacks in 4 games, which is unreal. Like I said last week, not a stats guy, but I think that's a pretty good stat, is 6 sacks in 4 games.
It's 1.5 sacks a game, Sean.
Yeah, bingo. He's got, so you're always good with, doing those little conversions with that. I think you had the Giannis stat last week too.
Feel free to throw a couple more simple division problems at me while we're recording. I'll knock them out of the park.
But just to kind of make a note of that, 6 sacks in 4 games. He had 4 sacks all last year. So he's on his way to a pretty good year. And never mind DeMarcus Lawrence, who actually for the first time all year did not record a sack against the Chiefs on Sunday, which, wow, first time all year. We're 8 games in, and it's the first game he hasn't recorded a freaking sack. But he's got 10.5 on the year in 8 games. He's played the full season. David Irving's missed a few, but that's neither here or there. But so he had, and I think I was looking through his numbers, and I mean, he's well on his way to have a monster year. He's got, I think he had 8 in 2015, and that's when he played all 16 games. So to have 10.5 now at this point, I saw something about like the all pros. If I think it was Sports Illustrated today, they were saying if the all pros cut at like this part of the year, they gave people for like each position And I was shocked to not see DeMarcus Lawrence on that. I think that's, complete jip, to be completely honest, but that's just me. So,
Yeah, no,
going
with,
into
with
Atlanta,
DeMarcus Lawrence, I saw some stuff on him earlier in the year. I know the Broncos game, which they got destroyed. His numbers were
yeah,
like on par with Von Miller's in that game, like in terms of
yeah.
pressures, hits, and sacks. So like he's been
Oh,
having a
he's
pretty
looked
great
incredible.
year.
He's looked incredible.
So they're sitting at they're second in the division right now, and they're in the second wild card spot right now at
Yep,
5-3.
yep,
They got the Panthers ahead of them at 6-3. They got the Seahawks right below them at 5-3.
yep.
So how do you like their playoff odds at this point?
Oh, playoff odds. I'm very confident with playoff odds. I I think I don't know. I think it's gonna be tough to catch Philly, to be honest. But they do have something working for them, and that's they face Philly twice, in their next few games. So that's, I mean, you talk about each division game, you can somewhat look at it as like a 2 game difference, because obviously one gets a game up and one gets a game back. So you're talking with 2 games left. If they win both Philly games, they're tied right there. So I don't want to say it's completely out of it, but I think catching Philly might still be tough. I think by the end of the year, I think especially with the Zeke thing, hopefully that kind of evens out, and we'll see how that works out. But I think they could get the number 1 wild card spot for sure.
Yeah, I mean it definitely seems within reach.
Yeah,
The Seahawks are right there. They're usually a second half team, but we'll see how it goes. I think they're
I
Cowboys are
mean,
in a pretty good spot.
yeah, I mean Seattle blew it to Washington the other night, and that was, geez, they blew that.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising. But
So
see about that.
I even
Anything
saw
else on the Cowboys?
No, I was just pretty much going to say too. I even saw something about how I can't remember who it was. It might have been like Edward or something, who was a ex Cowboys beat writer for ESPN. He said that he thought the Cowboys win was like the 3rd best in the NFC East last week, with the Redskins taking down Seattle, and then obviously the Eagles mauling the Broncos. I don't know if I'd go that far to say the 3rd best game in the NFC East, but
Yeah,
take
well,
it
it's
for what it's worth.
definitely wasn't the last. I'll tell you that
No,
much.
that's a fact. And leading us into that,
Yeah, look at the segue. So I got some things I want to say about the New York Football Giants because they are river garbage. I don't know if I've seen a worse organized football team play, and I had season tickets to UConn for the past 3 years. So it's unbelievable. So I'm going to start with a couple good things because it's only going to take about 25 seconds. So Eli Manning is as crappy as he played for the majority of the game. He actually had some strong throws in the first quarter, and you can't fault him too much for not having any weapons at all. Like he definitely still forces some stuff, but I mean when you're down 3 touchdowns, you kind of have to do that stuff. They established somewhat of a running game with Wayne Gallman and Orleans Darkwa. Darkwa had 71 yards on 16 carries. Gallman had 41 yards on 9 carries, which is actually really good for their running game. Usually they're averaging like 2-3 yards a game at most. Evan Engram is actually playing really well. He had 4 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown, so hopefully he keeps improving. And he's getting a lot of yards after the catch. And I don't know if you guys see the touchdown he caught. You probably avoided the game at all costs. Yeah, it was the fourth quarter. It was garbage time of a garbage game, but he like went up over the defensive back and like basically tore it out of his hand. So he does
this
look
is
good.
Ingram.
They bottled up Todd Gurley pretty well, 59 yards on 16 attempts, and that includes a 36-yard run in the first quarter. So if you take that out, he's averaging like 1.3 yards a carry. And then everything else they did poorly, literally everything else. So they don't have any linebackers who can play well. They can't cover anybody. They're missing tackles. It's awful. The first 3 receptions of the game were all to tight ends for 57 yards. One of those was actually on Landon Collins, who was supposed to be the anchor of the defense. He played like garbage. He also got torched by Sammy Watkins later in the game. They gave up a 52-yard touchdown on 3rd and 33 in the second quarter.
I heard about that.
I'm not sure, Sean, I know you're not a huge numbers guy. It's kind of difficult to get 33 yards on one play. It was ridiculous, too. They literally just dumped it off to Robert Woods, and he just ran away. Like, nobody touched him. Eli Apple was, like, backpedaling for like 18 yards and then didn't touch him at all. It was garbage.
I would like to make.
Kind of like what the Cowboys did
was
on
gonna-
Tyreek Hill.
I was going to say, I would like to make fun of you for that, but
You can still make fun of me for that because that was 7 of the 17 points. For the Giants, that was 7 of 51.
it's true.
So
That's very
not
true
the
when you look at it
strongest
that way.
game. Eli Apple is trash. I can't believe we wasted a first-round pick on that bum. It seems like 4 or 5 times a game he's just getting either absolutely burned or burned and then getting a penalty. He's garbage. They had a blocked punt, like they got a punt blocked. They had 2 fumbles. Eli threw a pick. Ross Cockrell stinks because he's Ross Cockrell. He's their 4th defensive back, and Ben McAdoo just can't stop suspending defensive backs. And Eli overthrew a bunch of throws for the rest of the game. It was just, they had a missed field goal.
That dude does not have control of that locker room whatsoever.
No, he doesn't. Did you see? Hold on, I was actually going to say that. Did you see that? Oh, you sent me that little article.
Yeah.
So
About how everyone hates him.
Yeah, this is
Nobody trusts him.
I think it was on Bleacher Report. It was originally reported by ESPN.
Yeah, Justina Anderson.
Yep, 2 Giants players anonymously ripped head coach Ben McAdoo, with one saying he's lost the team, another saying that the players don't care anymore, of which I agree with both. McAdoo has lost this team, one anonymous player told Josina Anderson. He's got us going 80% on Saturdays before we get on a plane to play a game. It's wild. Changed our off day. He's dishing out fines like crazy. Guys are giving up on the season. Nothing is getting done. So everything, if you're going to be bad, you might as well be the best at it. And that's what the Giants are doing. I'm hoping that they could just parlay this into a top 3 pick. Grab Sam Darnold.
You got to do.
Or
I saw another Bleacher Report.
Sorry, go ahead.
Saw another Bleacher Report article that they were pretty heavily scouting Darnold and that Rosen kid from UCLA. So maybe they're really gonna blow this thing up and start from scratch.
Yeah, I saw that. I looked into it today. So Eli's got 2 more years on his contract, which terrific deal. He's definitely not declining at all. And honestly, it doesn't work out that poorly. I actually saw another thing. Herm Edwards was talking today on ESPN about how they should trade Eli to Jacksonville, which I don't hate. I'm thinking, the trade deadline is passed, I'm pretty sure, but
yeah, it has.
I don't know if Bortles is going to be your guy going forward, so maybe try to get a small window out of Eli Manning if you're Jacksonville, and they have enough defensive depth to trade a little bit of it to the Giants and still be really good. So I don't know if they can get anything for Eli.
How much do you think Eli would be worth, though? I don't know. I couldn't see
Jalen Ramsey and a couple firsts.
That's what I'm saying. I can't see them getting more than a 3rd-round pick for him, to be honest.
No, I don't. Yeah,
which is still pretty decent draft capital, but I don't think you're getting some significant defensive help.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I agree. At this point, Eli's probably not even a top 20 quarterback.
He's falling off fast like Peyton did.
Yeah, and I don't know how much you're going to want to spend for a year and a half of a 38-year-old declining quarterback. So I don't know if they can get something for him. Honestly, if they got a 3rd-round pick, I'd say pull the trigger because they can this is a pretty deep quarterback class coming in from college. So throw a dart at the board for that and get one more pick out of Eli. So so that's my Giants riff. They play the 49ers this week, which I'm sure the whole nation will be tuned into.
That'll be a battle.
Oh God, I'm gonna watch it too. That's what makes me really sad. Is my Sunday is going to be a bad day because I'm gonna watch the Giants lose to the Niners.
Because you just have to watch it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the reporter asking McAdoo what he told the team at halftime and him literally not coming up with any words to go with that?
Oh, that was a good one.
He had 0 words.
Is that so? Maybe that's actually what he said. It had to be, right? He actually didn't say anything at halftime, so he didn't have a response.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. The reporter asked him, "What did you tell your team at halftime?" Which is just an alley-oop. A reporter cannot ask an easier question than an open-ended, what did you tell your team at halftime? I cannot believe that anyone would fail that question.
It stumped him. He was duped.
He's like, well, there's so many options that I could talk about that I'm not going to include any of them. Like,
Not
it makes
even
no sense.
not even a shred.
It
Not
was
even a little
it was
teaser.
almost like he had never participated in a press
It's
conference
like,
before, and he had stage
yeah,
fright. Like he was
yeah,
like, "Oh, there's a lot of people looking at me. I'm
like his
supposed to
first
talk to
He
college
was
them."
like looking
presentation or
down too.
something.
Like he actually like he was like for a notebook or something. Like he had nothing.
And he's like moving his hands. He's using hand motions. He's like distraught about the fact that he cannot give one word. Like,
He's in a
Yeah,
downward spiral, and
must.
oh man,
He's got to be
he's
getting
gonna hit the
canned.
earth soon.
Like there's no way he's gonna. Like, I don't think he'll last to the end of the year. I really don't.
I don't think at this point. But didn't am I like believing something that didn't happen, or did he just say maybe like yesterday or today that he thinks that the Giants have like an actual run in them?
That's
Like he's like,
precisely what he said. That's a
okay,
direct quote from him. He's like,
okay,
it's like you
because
gotta have faith in the guys. Like I still believe deep down that they have a run in them. Like run to what? Where are they running? Because they're just chasing everybody. They suck. They're not even close in the standings. They're 3 games back in the division of the 3rd place team, who's 4 games back of the 1st place team. Like there's no shot.
that's
So,
awesome.
anyways, I won't harp on that too much. The Giants stink. I'm going to try to put out a blog at some point on what they should do in the draft and moving forward. I actually want to do something like backdating and seeing where everything went wrong. So I don't know. Tune into that. It might be up in the next 3 or 4 years or so.
I will say one thing that the year of the Cowboys, whenever Romo got hurt, and I think it was 2000. What year are we now? 2017. It must be 2015. When they had a great 2014. Romo got hurt 2015. Dez got hurt 2015. It was right after they lost DeMarco in free agency. So they had literally nothing going for them. I think they finished with 4 wins, and they ended up with Zeke. And there is one good thing that comes out of having a terrible season, and that hopefully will be not for you, because obviously I don't want the Giants to do well, but from your perspective, if you can get a franchise player for it.
Yeah, hopefully. The good news is they've been drafting really, really well lately. So. I don't know, man. It's tough to be optimistic
Eric
at this
Flowers
point.
was a home run. Just keep doing that.
They do. So, like, there is some reason for optimism. I won't get too deep into it. Like, they do have some pieces. And, like, Landon Collins played like crap. He got burned a couple times. But overall, he is a really good player. They have Janoris Jenkins. They have some pieces on the defensive line. Like, and their wide receiving core is great when they're healthy. So, like, it's not a completely lost cause. If they can actually, it could be a quick turnaround if they just draft competent NFL players. But I don't think they can do that. So we'll see. Does anyone have any other NFL notes?
I was just going to say about the same Giants thing. Is it better or worse that Odell is actually hurt during this period? Because could you imagine if he was actually healthy during this period and they were 1 in whatever they are right now? He would be flipping shit.
Yeah,
That would
That
not.
would be bad news.
That would not be fun to defend on this show because I would have to do it and I wouldn't want to.
That would be bad news.
we'd have to do a full show on it, and I would just be ripping you the whole time.
Yeah.
You'd have
He
to
would
answer.
have walked out of the facility already. He would have walked out like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, like Dominic Rogers-Cromartie?
Yeah, he would have walked out.
Yeah. Luckily, he can't walk at all. So.
Yeah.
All right. We want to pop over to the NBA, talk a little Celtics, be a little positive.
Yeah, if Brendan wants to go, whatever.
What do you think,
What's
Brent? You want to do NHL?
Yeah. Let me take a whack at it. So the Bruins they actually just dropped the puck. I'm watching that as we do this. Been 3 games since we recorded. Kind of the same story. They're actually another injury happened. Marchand's out, so now their entire offense is Bergeron, Pasternak, and a bunch of AHL dudes. So that's nice and exciting. Even with that roster, though, the past few games they've had like 2-1 win against the Knights, 3-2 loss against the Capitals, and then they just beat the Wild pretty handily the other night, 5-3. So honestly, at this point, the only thing I'm looking for is if they can just get points and kind of hang around then that can only be good because then we get our full team back together and make a run from there.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing right now. They're right in the thick of things, right? 15 points, and they got a game or two in hand on most of the guys, most of the teams they're chasing.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's a hot take, but it's almost a good thing that it's happening now because you get all your young kids in there and see what they got, and then down couple months from now, when it's in like the home stretch of finding the playoffs, everyone gets healthy and hopefully we're still in a decent position to make a run there, but we'll see. It's still hot and cold with them. They're on and they're off some nights too. Today's second line is Tim Schaller, Sean Corelli, and Dan Heinen. So that's we're probably not where we need to be talent wise, but like I said, you just gotta stay positive and try to grind some points out.
Big shots from the outside, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I do have to give them credit. Guys like Schaller and Corelli, they're like veteran guys that are pretty much brought in here to play fourth line minutes, but they've actually really stepped up and contributed in pretty much all aspects. So that's another positive. You need like character bottom six guys if you want to make a playoff run. So hopefully that builds a little bit. But yeah,
hopefully they'll get healthy so those guys are back in the bottom six and not on.
Yeah, dude, I'm sick of these freak injuries that keep happening.
Yeah, that stinks. Anything else from around the league with that?
Around the league, I had two quick notes. One of them is actually Bruins related. Barstool Chief actually leaked it the other day. The 2019 Winter Classic is going to be the Bruins against the Blackhawks in South Bend at Notre Dame Stadium. We all know how the last Winter Classic turned out for the Bruins. They got spanked on national television, but I mean, hopefully this one will turn out good, and it's always sick to see them out there, so it's exciting. And then the other around the league, there's a big three-way trade, actually, which is kind of rare. Matt Duchene went to the Senators, and then Kyle Turris went from the Senators to the Predators, and then the Avalanche got some young kids, and then a bunch of like really high picks. So that's a pretty big move because Duchene's been wanting out of there for like 3 years now. So it's cool to see it actually happen.
Yeah, I know it's early in that trade, and there's obviously a lot of players involved in picks. But who do you think won it out of those three teams?
I think actually everyone really got what they wanted. Like it was actually. It's tough to really all come out good on every side of a three-way trade, but the Avalanche got a few kids that might pan out. If they don't, they still have like 2 firsts and a second to pick their own guys. The Predators are kind of in a weird spot where they've always needed a second-line centerman, and that Turris dude is perfect for that. And Duchene finally got the hell out of Colorado, and he's back in, I think Ottawa is like around where he's from, so it's probably good for everyone involved, honestly.
Yeah, nice.
But there still obviously is some waiting to do for the stuff that Colorado got, just because you got to see how the picks turn out and the prospects. But
yeah, definitely. Good. Assets are good until you do something with them, like Danny Ainge did by drafting Jason Tatum, because Jason Tatum is the balls. Him and Jaylen Brown are killing it. Like, it's so exciting to watch. So
John, you and the segues today.
My segue, like, I think I should do this for real now. It's a shame that only 4 people are going to watch this, and 3 of them are right here.
And one is your mom.
One is Mama C. Yeah. But yeah, so the Celtics won 9 straight. They're sitting at 9-2, leading the Eastern Conference by 1.5 games over the Pistons, which again is weird. I don't know. These teams are coming from the woodwork.
You and me both.
Magic are still in the mix too. They're leading the conference in opponent points per game at 94.5. So you could say they have the top team defense. Bulls are the next closest, and they're giving up almost 6 full points more at 100.6. And most of those points, that's probably just because teams are pitying the Bulls because they're trash and they're 2-7. So everything's looking good for the Celtics right now. There's been 4 games since the last show. They absolutely destroyed the Kings, which they should have. And then they pulled out a big win last Friday night in Oklahoma City. They were down, I think, by as many as 20-21 that game, and they ended up winning by 7. They won in Orlando, who is surprisingly good so far. And then they won in Atlanta, which is kind of a sketchy game, but it was the second night of a back-to-back. They pulled that one out. Kyrie went bananas. He had 35 points. So yeah, early season takes. What do you think, Sean? How you liking the team?
I'm digging it, man. I can't believe how much I'm digging it, to be honest. I think I just think back to the first 5 minutes of the season and how it could not have started worse. And I know that we're 2 or 3 weeks removed at this point, but I just keep going back to that and thinking, holy crap, this team is still 9-2. And I mean, I got a few more stats too, just on Tatum and everything like that. But I think it's kind of helped. I think it's kind of helped where a lot of teams, when you get a top 5 pick or especially a top 3 pick, you're calling on that person to come in and be the guy. And Tatum does not need to do that. He has a team full of Kyrie and Horford, who are absolutely perfect together, the last 9 games especially. But I think it kind of helps. And even you say Tatum, but even Jalen, kind of the same thing. He's only in his second year. So for those guys to not have to be, the key contributors on the team and kind of be able to ease into it almost, I want to say, I think that's been huge for the Celtics. And I'll just kind of throw out a few stats on Tatum right now. He's averaging 14.3 points a game, even though he's taking just 9.3 shots a game. So if we'll round down, say 9 shots a game, the max points he can have is, well, let's not include threes because I'm not including that in the percentage, but the max points he can have is 18, and he has 14.3 a game.
This is a weird stat.
I'm just saying, that comes with him shooting 50% from the field, almost 53% from 3, and just over 82 from the foul line. And he, with those numbers, this is from Jay King, who I also quoted last week from Mass Live. So with his 14 points and 6 rebounds per game, he is one of 10 Celtics rookies to ever do that. And I'll throw you a few names who, I don't know, maybe you guys will recognize, maybe not. Larry Legend, Tommy Heinsohn, this guy named Havlicek. I don't know. I think he stole the ball 1 or 2 times, though. Bill Russell, who, he was kind of key for a little while. Paul Pierce, a more modern name. And Antoine Walker, who makes me think like it's a more modern name, but it's he's pretty old now. So
I only recognize Antoine Walker, but those other guys sound cool.
But Antoine was a legend.
Yeah.
But I mean, with those numbers specifically, I mean they've looked incredible during their 9-game win streak. 7 of those games have been on the road, which is the most in the NBA. So that's pretty wild. You go to think that, especially back-to-backs, both on the road, you like to think that you're not always going to win those games, but they're gutting it out. And kind of, I'll give one more thing. Just I think with their ability to be such a pick and roll type orientated offense, and Brad Stevens is just Brad Stevens at this point. We all know what it is, but it's Kyrie making plays. It's him getting the ball to Al Horford, who's making plays. And then you got like role players. Every time Kyrie is able to penetrate, he finds, Jalen on a kick, or even Marcus Smart, shockingly, on a kick 3. And also...
that second part doesn't happen.
We'll leave it at Jalen on a 3.
Yeah, we'll cut that out.
But, and one last thing, too, that Al Horford, who unfortunately is out tonight, hopefully he won't miss too much, he is the only player in the NBA out of approximately 450 to have a positive plus-minus in every game this season.
Really?
It's pretty good.
That's actually, that's really good. And that makes sense because he's just kind of the guy. I think when he came in, a lot of people were upset about the signing because he signed for like $28 million or something like that.
Yeah.
It just seemed like way too much. And he's not a guy who's going to go out and absolutely dominate a game and just win, like put the team on his back. But he doesn't do anything poorly. And that is so valuable, especially when you have Brad Stevens just putting you in the right role and like using you the way he uses Horford.
Yeah,
It's really fun
exactly.
to watch. I got something with plus minus as well. This is out on CSN, so I don't know who originally tweeted it out. But plus minus is as of last Sunday. Best plus minus in the NBA: Steph Curry at plus 133, Kevin Durant at plus 120, and then Jaylen Brown at plus 83. He's third in the
I'm
NBA.
not shocked.
Which
I'm
is
not shocked.
which is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, it is pretty unbelievable.
And then one more thing with Tatum. This is kind of a loaded stat because he's only played in 11 games. But for rookie win shares per 48 minutes, which is a stat that I cannot explain because I don't know what it means. But he's second all time. If it were to be over a whole season, he would be second all time in win shares per 48 in his rookie season, behind Michael Jordan and ahead of Tim Duncan.
I think he can continue that pace.
I think so too, Sean.
I don't see him dropping out of the number 2 spot, if I'm going to be honest.
I don't see how anything could go wrong. There's definitely nothing bad that's going to happen after this.
Speaking of, the Celtics are up 18-11 right now.
Again, recording the game, but just keep
I completely forgot that. That'll be the last update.
It's also funny that our mantra is no free ads, and there's literally just commercials going on behind your shoulder. It's just any ad you can think of.
Are we gonna get fined for that? Because it's we're like pirating whatever's behind Sean.
Good question.
It's kind of like if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it really make a sound?
Fair point.
With our viewership, I don't really think anybody's gonna. I don't think anybody's gonna be ringing the bell on us, and if they are, they need to get a hobby.
Did you see? Speaking about commercials, because you guys just remind me of it. I was watching ESPN. I don't know. It must have been some yesterday or something, but they were like marketing the Celtics versus Lakers game. I'll finish my thought before I go back, because otherwise, obviously, they're going to market the Celtics.
Uh-oh.
What in God's name does Lonzo Wednesday mean?
Wait, hold on.
And why do you need to market?
Can you run it back? You cut out so bad right when you were like...
So you missed the punchline.
I missed this.
All right, I'll start
most
over.
of it.
So anyway, I was watching ESPN the other day, and I think it was yesterday or something, and I go on, and they were like marketing the Celtics versus Lakers game, which is probably still the best rivalry in the NBA, especially old-time rivalry, and they're marketing it Lonzo Wednesday. And I just thought in my head, why in God's name do you have to market this shit Lonzo Wednesday? He's brought nothing to the table in this rivalry. It didn't make any sense to me. I like kind of got pissed off. So I figured I'd bring it to the show and air my frustrations on it.
No, this is a safe space. I'm glad that you can talk about that kind of stuff.
That's what I figured.
No, I don't know. It's definitely just because he's such a big name. Anytime the balls get mentioned, it's just a huge deal.
The balls.
Yeah, I got a weird ESPN update, and it was like all in capitals, and it was like Kyrie versus Lonzo, Celtics, Lakers, like all in capitals, and I was like, that's a bit aggressive for a good team against a not very good team.
Yeah, no, it just didn't make any sense to me.
Sorry about that. There was just a spider crawling on my laptop.
Oh, you don't need to apologize. I would have freaked out.
Yeah, I peed my shorts, but nobody can see that. It's a NEcap show. I got a couple notes from around the league, NBA. The Cavs are still struggling a bit, which makes me very happy inside. They did just beat the Bucks yesterday, and LeBron went off last Friday. I don't know if you saw that. He had like 50 something, just completely dominated the Wizards. But yeah, so they actually got the Rockets tomorrow night in Houston, and the Rockets are 8-3, so it might actually get a little bit worse before it gets better, especially because their defense has been the biggest problem. They're 28th in the NBA in opponent scoring. They've been giving up 113.9 points per game, and James Harden could really just shred them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see about that. I don't know, man. They'll probably be okay because they have LeBron, but their guards are not good. Like Derrick Rose doesn't have any knees. J.R. Smith only shoots threes, and Dwayne Wade's like 140 years old. Like they did not assemble a good roster. So
Yeah.
I hope they
The only
keep
thing,
noodling.
the only thing I'll say though is, I mean, by this point, 11 games into the season, it looks like the Celtics are like the clear winner of that trade. But you do have to take into account that the biggest loss the Celtics gave up and the biggest thing that the Cavs are going to gain in Isaiah has not played yet.
Right.
So, I don't want to say that it's going to be, like mind-boggling once he comes back, but it very well could be. I mean, he gives an offense, so much with him, especially like, playing next to LeBron. I think he could be legit with that. So I guess my only point is the Cavs do not look good, but if I was a Cleveland fan, I would not be worried.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a slight cause for concern at this point, but again, we're still only 10, 11 games into the season, so
Yeah.
you get your full roster. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But it is nice to watch them lose to the Hawks
for
and
sure.
the Pelicans,
For sure.
and all that. And then
For
one other
sure.
quick note: there's a trade earlier this week on Tuesday. Eric Bledsoe got sent from the Suns to the Bucks for Greg Monroe and a first-round pick.
Oh shit, that went down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
I saw there were rumors of that.
Yeah, I believe that actually. Yeah, pretty sure that went through. I hope so because
Okay.
we're talking about it. But I don't know. I kind of like that trade. I kind of like the NHL trade you were talking about. I kind of like it for both
Yeah.
sides. Like the Bucks just get another talented scorer. Like Bledsoe can get you 17, 18 a game if you need him to, and the Suns stock up on picks. They get another first rounder. So even if that's the end of the first round, like there's still plenty of talent to go around at that point in the draft. So I think it's a pretty good trade for both sides.
I think it's a really good trade from Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, you bring in a point guard who's pretty experienced as a point guard, and I heard something the other day too that with his numbers, and I can't remember exactly what they are. I don't want to rattle them off right off the top of my head, but he's like one of 10 players in the NBA with a certain kind of fix of numbers, I guess, and the other 9 are all NBA players. So
Yeah,
I mean, he's legit, and kind of bringing in a point guard like that, especially to run with Giannis and run with kind of a young cast like Malcolm Brogdon, and if they keep Jabari Parker, if they don't, it doesn't look like they're losing anything without him at this point. But they could be legit too.
Yeah, no, that'll be interesting to watch how he meshes with that team. Any other notes on around the league, or you guys want to get into segments?
I was just going to share one quick Knicks thing if I could.
Go for it.
Regarding the NBA. So I was on Twitter the other day or last night, I think, and I saw a lot of Knicks fans being happy about the Knicks, and I just couldn't really justify why to myself, I guess. And just because the Knicks are just such a hilarious franchise every time I hear about them. And it's just like kids like kind of talking about like how the Knicks can be like competing for a playoff spot at this point. And I just laughed out loud. Like, we're talking about the East. Like, if you're talking about competing for a playoff spot, you're not in very good shape. It means you're either 8, 9, 10 team in the East. Like, that's just not good.
Yeah.
But even still with that, so kind of with that, I went back and started doing a little research on the Knicks, and they have won 6 of their last 7, which, kudos to them. That's pretty good. Behind the Celtics 9-game win streak, I bet that's one of the better streaks in the league at this point. They did start 0-3, so they're 6-4 or whatever at this point in time, which isn't great. It's not just over 500 obviously, but and then I started looking into Kristaps Porzingis obviously, and he's averaging 30 points a game on 51% shooting from the field, 38% from 3, and only Giannis's 31.9 points per game are higher than that. So it looks like he's putting on a show, and I know even in his fourth quarter numbers, he's averaging almost 9 points every fourth quarter, which is only behind LeBron, which that shouldn't be shocking to anyone. And I know he even just won it. I think it was must have been against Charlotte, I think on Tuesday. And then you look at that, and then defensively, he's averaging 2.3 blocks, which is third in the NBA too. So I mean, he looks like a stud.
Yeah, and I'm sure all those Knicks
Knicks
fans were really excited right when they made the pick too.
Yeah, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It is. I actually kind of like when the Knicks are good. I don't know. Anytime a big market team has some success, I think it's just better for the league as a whole. But
yeah,
we'll see if it's sustainable. I don't know.
I also like shitting on the Knicks just as much as I like them being good. So
win-win.
It's a toss-up.
Yeah.
It's a toss-up.
We all win.
Yeah.
When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.